storm without a warning.
Welcome to Finest Work Songs. My name is Matt.
My name is Matt. We've had some good feedback over the last few weeks. I really thank everyone who's been sharing it and listening and reviewing us. I want to give a few shout outs here and there.
Right.
Jim Pullins, who is listening to us all the way from Ohio, is a big supporter of us. So
For real?
Yeah, he's the one who keeps saying, y'all should do the Doobie Brothers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he keeps mentioning all these classic albums he wants us to do. But he's been great about promoting the podcast to farmers and other folks. So it's been pretty cool. Also, our friend of the podcast, Kevin Brewer, who has a habit of live tweeting our episodes from time to time, which is really fun. And speaking of Kevin, he has a website called postmodcast.com, and he allowed me to list my favorite albums of the 90s, as well as former guest Chris Harrell. He just listed his top albums of the 90s as well.
Really? Is it Feist? Even though it wasn't out yet, he still just snuck it on there?
I'm not going to give that away. You have to go to postmodcast.com to read it. I also want to thank Tim Hunter, who is at Wolfpack9 on Twitter, who commented on one of our recent episodes. And he said, the podcast is very fun, informative, with an eclectic mix of music. The first 5 were albums I knew very well. The last 2 I was introduced to being new to me. Keep it up. So really appreciate that.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. So get on whatever podcast platform you're using and give us some reviews so we can buy those airplanes full of cocaine.
Goals.
Talking about the circular nature of this podcast, I've got a Changening update from my friend Rich, who I mentioned on the Neutral Milk Hotel episode. Rich actually used to work at the College of Physicians of Philadelphia. And he wrote me to tell me that's where Changening were autopsied after they died. And he actually reviewed their autopsy files.
Oh my gosh.
And I asked him what stood out to you about that. And he said, well, really how easily separated they could have been the whole time. It was really just a bunch of keratin and some muscle that connected them, no organs or anything like that.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And he said they even made a plaster cast of their torsos that are on display, and they're super lifelike.
That's so gross.
And he also said they even had in a jar at the College of Physicians a 2-headed boy.
Wow.
Which again, he always thinks of Neutral Milk Hotel.
Yeah.
And that. So it's weird how full circle this whole thing is.
That is tragic to me that they could have been separated
Like
so
with
easily.
a kitchen knife.
Right.
But that doesn't make money if they're separated. You can't.
You can't go on tour
Yeah,
and be
that's true.
carnival act.
They would have just had a normal life back
With
in
a
Siam.
weird scar.
Yeah. Never mind. Wait. If there's going to be a scar.
Ooh, gross.
Yeah. Forget killing Hitler. If I have a time machine, I want to go back to Changening on the day before they die, just whisper in their ear, "We could have separated you so easily." Just walk
so
away.
mean.
They're the slave owners, not me.
Still. Man.
Well, speaking of being connected, we have a guest today.
We do. We're excited today to have Matt Purdy with us. Matt, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Thanks for being named Matt, so this is really
easy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Matt, why don't you tell us which album we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah. So we're gonna do Modern Vampires of the City, the 3rd Vampire Weekend album, which I believe came out in 2013. I love the album. I love the band. I saw them in June. I prepped 6 months or something whenever those tickets came out. I was just amped to see them. It crossed off a bucket list for me. Yeah. So pretty excited to talk about it and let you guys know what I think.
Cool. Oh, before we get into this album, I've got a question for you based on our last week episode on NXS. You mentioned that you remember seeing your sister write the name on like a notebook or something. Mm-hmm. And you thought it was Inks. And you said you at concerts you were just like Inks.
Right.
Do you do that at every concert? You just
just chant the name.
Arcade Fire. Dave Matthews Band.
Now is the time when the end of decade lists are coming out.
Yeah.
And I've read 2 of them so far. I know there's more to come, but Pitchfork had this album as the number 7
Really?
album of the 2010s.
Well, Pitchfork had it as the album of the year in 2013, and Rolling Stone had it as album of the year in 2013.
And then Pace just put theirs out and they had it at number 11. I did not know that this album was that revered to be on people's best of
I wouldn't have
2010s
thought about that.
list.
Yeah.
Let's get into this album. Matt, what is your memory or association with this album?
I'll probably go back and say, the first time I heard Vampire Weekend was when an algorithm found it for me, listening to like Pandora.
Yeah.
It was weird because like to me, the early days of Pandora, it would always play the same songs. And it would always be Giving Up the Gun was the one Vampire Weekend that would get played.
Right.
And so I liked it. And I think I didn't realize until later, probably like your friends who went to the concert, that I'd been hearing Vampire Weekend songs and didn't make the connection that it was them. I was aware of them in this sort of, it's in the ether, and I know this music. This was actually the first Vampire Weekend album I bought. How about you, Matt?
Well, as I've mentioned before, I grew up in Chicago.
Right.
But I didn't spend all of my time there because at one point I had to move to a small town to live with my aunt and my uncle. And I didn't want to leave Chicago because my life was there.
Sure.
And what's going to be in the small town, which the answer was nothing. 2 of the 3 things I loved the most were frowned upon, and that is gymnastics and dancing. But the third thing that I love, fighting, was really a big deal there. And so I got to do a lot of that. But I went to the small town, and oddly enough, they didn't allow dancing.
That's so weird.
Whoa.
Yeah. Somebody, I guess, had like died from dancing. It was like religious reasons because someone died. And so they, this pastor guy who ran the town, I don't know. I fell in love with his daughter. I don't remember what he was like, but she was really wanting to dance. I think everybody wanted to dance, but also they didn't know how. So I don't know if they didn't have TVs because they didn't even know how to dance, really. I had a lot of trouble moving into this town because people started picking on me because I was not as redneck as they were.
Right, sure. Yeah.
But I did get in a couple fights. The way that they fight is to get on tractors and to race them towards each other.
Tractor chicken?
Tractor chicken.
Yeah, tractor chicken.
Wow.
Did they do that in Benson Mule Days? Do they have that?
I've never seen tractor chicken. I gotta
Do
say.
they do mule chicken?
Maybe.
I feel like it'd be real slow.
It would be.
Yeah.
Mules
Yeah,
run into
like
each other.
last second you could easily just kind of turn.
Yeah, or they
mule-
go up and sniff each other.
Maybe there's like, they should do mule jousting. That'd be
Yeah.
cool. That'd be cool.
Yep. Yeah, and so tractor chicken was a big deal. I didn't know how to drive a tractor.
Sure.
But I picked it up really quickly and was able to force someone off into a ditch. Almost killed him, but I won the fight, so that's all that matters. And then I was so frustrated, and because I couldn't dance, what I would do is I'd go into a barn and I would do gymnastics. And
A barn? You said a barn.
A barn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, if I'd said a bar, it would be like, what kind of bar are you doing gymnastics in?
As a teenager.
Yeah. They didn't allow dancing, but if you wanted to do gymnastics in a bar, that's
at
fine.
16,
Yeah.
go for it.
Can I see your ID? I'm just here to do gymnastics.
Oh, yeah, sure. Come on in.
Yeah, cool. And finally, I went before city council for the love of my girlfriend and really for the love of dancing.
Sure.
And to save this town from themselves. And so I used the Bible
Yeah.
to show them that
Right.
dancing was okay. And the city council was really moved and voted it down. Never came out of their dark ages mentality with dancing, so it kind of ended sad. But I did hear the Vampire Weekend album at that bar that I was doing gymnastics in, so
Sure.
that's how I found it.
Nice, man. Man, that's a hell of a story, but man, at least you finally brought home the bacon.
He was trying to convince the town, but they were unbelievers.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Gosh, I
man,
should've
that's
used
way
that.
better.
Yeah,
All right.
that is way better. Yep.
Found your new code.
But I hadn't really dug into this album until I saw it on the list, and I thought, whoa, it's on the best of list?
Right.
And that's when I started digging in. Mm-hmm. So generally, with either albums that we do or just a band that I like, I dig into the members, the production,
Yeah, me too.
all of that stuff. I'm coming in here blind. So I've heard some songs and I've read a few lyrics over the past few days, but I'm looking forward to you guys I don't even know who you're talking about. The only guy I know is Ezra Koenig. So as we get into it, I'd love for you to even kind of point out who's who and you guys guide the way with like what songs we're going to do. So teach me about Vampire Weekend.
Like a little pupil.
But I was talking to Matt just then.
I figured as much.
I could have meant you.
Well, that's true.
That's the joke.
Mornings come, you watch the red sunrise. The LED still flickers in your eyes. Oh, you ought to spare your face the razor, because no one's gonna spare the time for you. No one's gonna watch you as you go from a house you didn't build and can't control. Oh, you ought to spare your face the razor, because no one's gonna spare the time for you. You ought to spare the world your labor. It's been 20 years and no one's told the truth. So listen, oh. So listen, oh. Don't wait. Don't wait. So listen, oh. So listen, oh. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Who's singing backing in this band? Is there like,
Rostrum?
Yeah.
That's how you say it.
Typically he sings, to my understanding.
is he bass, drums, multi?
He is multi-instrumentalist,
multi-instrument.
keyboard, some
Yeah.
guitar, and backing vocal
Yeah.
some. I think he produced their first 3 albums.
I think he did too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They would have to have so many people if they were doing dedicated instruments only.
Yeah.
If they didn't have that.
Yeah. For me, this song is more of like a end of an album. I call it like the come down of an album. After listening to it again the other day, I see why they did. And then if you hear the last song, you're like, oh, that's how they wanted
it's
to
like
wrap
a
up the
bookend.
album.
It's like a
yeah,
bookend
it's like a bookend. And it's the more I've listened to it, the more I do like this song. They're also kind of telling you what to do for the album. Listen.
That's right. It's almost like a palate cleansing. Oh, this
Yeah,
is nice.
that's like your light dessert after dinner.
right.
You're like half a slice of pie, not the.
It could really go
all the
for
way.
some nice lime yogurt
Yeah, yeah.
with some Chardonnay.
What would you drink while you're listening to Vampire Weekend?
Blood.
Like a Bloody Mary, because you only have those on weekends.
That's perfect.
I would love if that's how they came up with the name. Like sitting there on a country club, like swirling a Bloody Mary on the
Yeah.
weekend, be like,
Oh,
guys,
I feel like a vampire.
yeah, it's like a Vampire Weekend. We should start a band.
You know those Columbia University guys. That's what they do.
Is that where they went?
That's
Yeah.
what they all met there. Yeah.
And that's kind of part of like the, for lack of a better term, the mystique about them is they've got this persona as these private school northern elite kind
Yeah.
of guys, and they don't run away from that. But
Yeah.
they really all come from pretty diverse like ethnic backgrounds. So I think in a lot of ways it's unfair that they're sort of siloed into that.
They're just smart guys that ended up at a good school and like to make music. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it doesn't help that like for this album even they record it in Rostrom's apartment, which is in like an old warehouse in Manhattan. Then they go off to rent a house in Cape Cod to record parts of It's like there's things that they do that kind of like feed
Yeah.
into it.
They're one of those bands that has this weird crossover between like the true indie fans and then like the frat guys.
You've seen them live. Does that make
Yeah.
their concerts kind of a mix where you look around and you see like total frat crowd and then you see some indie people?
It was something like that. It wasn't as defined as I thought it would be. There was a lot more just kind of like middle ground of the fans. Because I mean, I've been to some shows. I went and saw a show the other week, and it was just, I mean, it was like all frat guys. Threw
That's
me
what
off
you
a
get
little
for
bit.
going to see the Marshall Tucker band in concert.
I wish that's what I saw. That would have been great.
No, I saw Vampire Weekend the previous time when they were here, and I mean, I think I fully expected them to come out in cool suits or
Yeah.
like preppy wear, but they were in like just t-shirts and shorts.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
they
was-
were very much like, it's like they rolled off the van.
Yeah.
And,
Ezra
and-
Koenig had like sweatshirt and like bag, like just like gym shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect kind of collars up by the way you're talking about
Right.
them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, it was very much like, hey, let's just go do this show.
Yeah, I think, and maybe that comes from like what Matt was talking about, how they have such different backgrounds, they can kind of jump into those different personas pretty easily. You know,
Okay. What's next?
Unbelievers.
Got a little soul, the world is a cold, cold place to be. Want a little warmth, but who's gonna save a little warmth for me? We know the fire rates, unbelievers, all of the sinners the same. Girl, you and I would die, unbelievers bound to the tracks of the train.
this is definitely more of their normal
This is
tempo.
how I like my vampire
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah. This is like a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, right.
Let's do food for each one. That'd be so great.
What flavor? I mean, this is butter pecan.
Oh my
This is butter
gosh.
pecan for you.
No, it's not the Eagles.
Yeah, I was gonna say something from the 70s. My dad doesn't listen to this song. Okay?
Yeah, he put on there about, I think, undeniably butter pecans the best or whatever. I was like, to who? The old folks home? Like, it's the worst.
Oh, you're missing out. You'll get there
Be
someday.
careful, we might lose some viewers.
Yeah, I'm all about losing viewers. My favorite comments are online when the people are just like, I feel attacked.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, see, to me, this and A-Punk are like those
Yeah.
quintessential
Yeah.
vampire weekend songs.
There's not a lot of bands who can do this fast
Yeah.
with still kind of maintaining some semblance of melody. And
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
usually
Yeah.
they're like starting to drive and then they kind of
Right.
lose the, I don't know, sophistication.
Yeah.
But they are still Vampire Weekend. They're just like, I'm just going to go fast.
Their music is really precise, is kind of the way
Yeah, that's great.
I look at it. But it's not overly like orchestrated, if that makes sense. Like it's precise, but it's not like some big to do for them to do it. It's just they keep it simple. Like I don't think anything. I'm not musically inclined as well as some other people, but it doesn't seem like it's anything overly sophisticated to do.
Every time I see you in the world, you always step to my girl. Way back, I used to front like and go out Mechanicsburg, Anchorage, Dar es Salaam. Well, home in New York with champagne and disco, tapes from LA / San Francisco, but actually Oakland and Alameda. Your girl was in Berkeley with a communist reader. Mine was in tune with a boombox and Walkman. I was a horrible girl that was back then. The gloves are off, the wisdom teeth are out. What you on about? I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my bones. I'm stronger now, I'm ready for the house. Such a modest mouth. I can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. Every time I see you in the world, you always step to my girl.
Initially, this was a bit of like a letdown after Unbelievers,
Yeah.
just because of the pace of it. It's like I wanted more of that pace.
Which I'm typically with you, but I think it's an okay medium pace. Like it's not loud, it's not in your face, but it doesn't really stop. And I really like this part because I'm a geography nerd, and he just rattles off like random places in the
Yeah.
world.
I had to look up, I don't know what he's singing
Dar
here.
es Salaam is the only one I could remember off the top of my head.
That's
but
right.
I really like that. I don't know.
For me, when it got to this point, I was all in.
Yeah.
That beat is just
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the
killer.
beat.
Yeah,
It's just a soft bass line, just kind of setting the pace.
We haven't talked about the bassist yet.
Chris Baio.
he's the one who stands out on
Yeah.
being just an incredible bassist.
Yeah.
So melodic in his bass playing. And he's related to Scott Baio,
As in Charles in Charge?
Charles in Charge. He's like first cousin once removed or something.
Oh my gosh.
That's great.
What are their family reunions like? Probably all about Charles, as usual.
Always.
Hey, Chris, I heard you have a new project. Charles is over there like,
Scott.
What?
Scott.
Oh,
not
yeah,
Charles.
sorry.
Scott Baio.
Scott Chris.
The lines of reality just blur for me. I've watched so much Charles in Charge. That's
Oh,
who
well,
he
yeah.
is to me.
But who hasn't?
Yeah.
And he's also, I think, related to Steve Buscemi.
What family is this?
Apparently an Italian one. Giant Italian family of famous people.
So that means that Scott Baio is related to Steve Buscemi.
Ooh.
I'm guessing
Probably.
so.
Well, probably. It depends on the side of the family. Could be on the mom's side. Okay.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it looks like Chris Baio himself in 2013 realized he was related to Steve Buscemi.
Wait. Oh, I thought you were going to say Scott Baio. I was like, they got the same last name. That'd be the first place I'd look.
You would think, yeah.
He did like a Ancestry.com, like, oh, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what is this song about? The thing that stands out to me is this line, every time I see you in the world, you always step to my girl.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is a pretty confrontational
like a threat.
line.
It's a very like indie music way of
Puffing your chest
tell
out.
it back up. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to turn my University of South Carolina Cox hat backwards.
Yeah.
Get ready to get in a fight.
With your croquis and
Here, hold my croakies. Yeah.
my-
And my Bloody Mary.
It's like the UNC South Carolina fan fight.
Oh, yeah. Where
like-
no one threw a punch.
Yeah. It's the same thing, but they just kind of posture the whole time.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it reminds me of.
So when I heard that, like, because it starts with that, every time I see you in the world, you always step to my girl. But then when it starts, it sounds to me like a waltz is starting.
Yeah.
And then he's like puffing up his chest, and then he steps back in, and like a big group of rich white people are just waltzing
Doing
around.
the foxtrot.
And then there's a harpsichord.
And I haven't actually seen the music video for that, but I could just see like the one guy, like they have to switch partners, but the other guy's maybe like on Ezra Koenig's girl dancing with her or something. And he's just staring at her the whole time.
I think we're directing something here. But
Yeah.
and then when it got to the part, well, one thing about this album that I'm sure we'll get to is just some of the effects that they use.
Yeah.
So now in my head, I'm imagining this waltz.
You're picturing you're at a big ball at Versailles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
with a big powdered wig is playing this.
I mean, because I hear a harpsichord and that's the background, But then I like to think that they actually, at this point when he's singing, got to a place where they would actually fight. It sounds to me like he got punched in the face.
Yeah.
And it's like slow motion singing when he's going
Yeah.
down, like it's just falling. That's what I picture.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting. They actually, elements and lyrics were inspired by the song Step to My Girl, which was recorded as a demo by the Oakland-based hip-hop group Souls of Mischief.
Way back, I used to fret that my honey would play me for one with more pay. Still, it was funny because she paid no mind as jerks lurk constantly. And my insecurity turned into maturity. As the years passed, I find it hard to be monogamous. So do other brothers, so the scene's still synonymous. Catch crazy glares when I'm with female company. Something I'm a softie and they step to her in front of me.
Every time I see you in the world, you always step to my girl.
Wow.
Interesting.
That-
As
yeah.
slow as this is, that's it's interesting.
Some parts of this album I like that they use some of that sort of like robotic voice. And like at the end of that one, and then there's parts of the song of the album where they do it, and I'm just like, this is getting old.
Yeah.
It's like Henry from Michael Jackson's Thriller, the robot.
Oh, yeah.
you talked
Oh,
about.
I want to use Henry.
Can we use Henry from PYT?
It's so interesting though how on one hand they're using like vocal effects, but then they also are playing a harpsichord.
Yeah.
Is that on all their albums? Do they do that? Old and new?
I think I'd say maybe the last two were probably more so than the first two. I think the first two were more just guitar based and a little more traditional in that sense.
Yeah, a little more like world music, African
Yeah.
influence. The first couple were.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
You toss aside like a pile of leaves. I gotta find some better weeds. 4 or 5 meter run around the bend when the government may just surround you again. If dying young won't change your mind, baby, 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 right on time. Out of control. Lifetime, baby, 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 right on time, time, baby, 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 right on time.
I used to think it said you tossed aside like a pile of leaves, but it's you torched a Saab like a pile of leaves.
I could see where the whole like kind of pretentious upper class thing is coming in.
Yeah, the Saab. Like that is the most just like suburban mom kind of thing.
Yeah, they could say like Mercedes or Lexus or something like that. And it may be, oh well, this could cross over into different genres. That could be used in a rap song.
Yeah. Like
Saab
Mercedes,
is not
a burning Mercedes.
Yeah.
No rappers torching Saabs.
Well, and he says, you think you can go to the 18th hole. So he's got a Saab reference.
Really? And
golf
that's right, he
reference.
does.
Yeah.
I think I've read that it's like a metaphor for trying not to die young or something like that. And dying young.
Diane Young.
Yeah.
Diane Young.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, who's Diane
Young?
Young?
Once again, I wouldn't have known if I didn't read about it in the past, but it's... Yeah, I miss a lot of those references. I'm just like, oh, I love this song. It sounds
Those
great.
witty Columbia students and their wordplay.
That totally makes sense now. If Diane Young won't change your mind, if Diane Young won't change your mind.
Yeah. And I think the you know how when they release singles, they have their own little album cover.
Yeah.
It's literally a Saab on fire,
Oh,
which
really?
I've never thought about until now. I was just like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of like hip hoppy or metal or something. I
Right.
don't know. But yeah,
That's cool.
That makes a lot of sense now that I think about it.
Told me some plants move, but I could not believe it. To me and Hannah Hunt saw crawling vines and weeping willows as we made our way from Providence to Phoenix. A man of faith said hidden eyes could see what I was thinking. I just smiled and told him that was only true of Hannah, and we glided on through Waverly and Lincoln. Days were long, our nights no longer. Count the seconds, watching hours. Though we live on the US dollar, you and me, we got our own sense of time.
When they did it live here, I was like floored by it.
Yeah.
It was great. My girlfriend started crying.
Oh, wow.
She was really excited to see him too. But yeah, it's just a really pretty song. It's almost like forlorn is like the word I would use or something, or like longing or something.
And it's really driven by like the bass. I mean, it's mostly just bass up until like the piano at the end.
Just a real slow driving bass.
Mm-hmm.
More geographical references too.
Yeah,
they're all
exactly.
about some name dropping. Some
As we made our way from Providence to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well, the Saab got burned.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
Hitchhiking.
or
can't-
just they took the jet.
I'm curious.
I was actually introduced to this song by the band I'm With Her.
Santa Barbara, Hannah cried, I miss those freezing beaches. I walked into town to buy some kindling for the fire, and I tore the New York Times up into pieces. If I
all three of them gathered around the mic, just perfect in what they do. I don't think I'd ever heard this song, but then I heard them sing it, and I want to know more about that song. And then I think maybe it was the second time or something that they said this is a Vampire Weekend song, or that I found out, and that's when I looked it up. But it shows you that he's an incredible songwriter. It's not just here's an indie band that we got a killer rhythm
We got some good
section,
hit hooks,
yeah, and some clever hooks and names, and we're all hot, you know. But it fits even in a folk trio setting.
I took your counsel and came to ruin. Leave me to myself, leave me to myself. I took your counsel and came to ruin. Leave me to myself, leave me to myself. Oh, I was made to live without you, but I'm never gonna understand, never understand. Oh, I was born to live without you, but I'm never gonna understand, never understand. Hold me in your everlasting arms. Looked up for the fear trap beneath the chandeliers going down.
This is the one that reminds me of like
Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel
Oh, yeah.
or something, just straight out of the 80s.
Or Paul Simon.
Graceland.
yeah,
I've
heard
Paul
that
Simon was
before.
the other one I was thinking of too.
Yeah.
I would actually say this is probably more Paul Simon.
Yeah.
Really with the drums.
I remember hearing that comparison that they made, you know, and then but I didn't really feel it on this album in particular until here.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just that bass
Well,
feel.
and
I'm sure
li-
it didn't originate with Paul Simon,
Yeah.
but he made it huge.
Yeah,
And-
that's what it's known for. Yeah.
And in concert, Chevy Chase is known to come out and act like he's playing the trumpet.
I forgot about that stupid
Does
video.
Rostam do that part too?
Probably does.
And this one wasn't a commercially known one either. Like
Right.
This one, I don't even know if this had like a music video or
don't-
got
I don't know if
radio
it
play
did
or
either.
anything, but
It sounds like it could have been like a popular radio hit.
I think it's just one of those ones where they can only pick so many songs to put out there, and it was in that next cut.
I mean, that theme is running through. His greatest fear here, looked up full of fear, trapped beneath a chandelier that's going down.
Chandelier.
So again, he's like in some
He's on the Titanic.
ballroom. Or,
Yeah.
that's right.
Which
Well,
it's a black. The album's black and white. It's got a vista of a city.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of does evoke some of those. Not like Versailles, but something like that. Yeah.
Well,
like-
and then the first album isn't a chandelier.
Yeah, it
There's
is
a chandelier
actually,
on
yeah.
the cover.
And the second one's like a vintage. Contra's like a vintage photo of some woman
girl
who I think
in
they
a
like tried to
polo.
track down. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no,
Yeah, she ended up suing them.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember something about that.
They
Actually.
paid $5,000 for the photo off Flickr. She ended up suing them, and then they ended up, I think, suing the photographer who they bought it from.
for letting them do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think they settled with her out of court.
I can see suing, but also that just seems like, hey man, that's my mom on.
Well, that's how she
cover.
found out.
That'd be so cool.
I
that's
hope
what happened
I
was-
hope they steal a cool picture of me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
her
picture-
daughter came home with the album, was like, hey,
Yeah.
look at this. And she's like, that's me on the cover from like 1983.
Golly, that would be a little off-putting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see that, but the picture's perfect though.
It is.
Only in the way, want it only on the day, want it only with the understanding every single day, want it only in the way, want it only on the day, want it only with the understanding every single day, want it you. City with the weight upon a city in the way, want a city with the safety of a never ending blessing on a city with the weight upon a city in the way, want a city with the safety of a never ending blessing on you. We worship you, your red light. Won't we see you once again? In fallen soil, in fallen light, who will guide us through the end?
It makes me think of like an Irish rodeo or something.
Yeah.
I could see that.
This was the one that I'm listening over the weekend,
Yeah.
and generally I end up prepping these mainly as I'm driving or with life happening. And my wife was out of town, so I had the kids all weekend. And so I'm playing this while I'm making breakfast or dinner or just driving them on errands and stuff. And this was the one that every time it came on, I was like, skip. Like, there's something about it that it started. I was like, no.
You think you were watching Bonanza? Do you have like bad memories of watching that?
Or I'm in like an Irish bar on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
It's
like just the
over the top. Yep.
Oh, sweet thing, Zion doesn't love you. Babylon don't love you. But you love everything.
Is this an answer to Hey Ya?
Hey, yeah. I'm sure it is.
Whoa! Did you know that Ezra Koenig's partner is Rashida Jones?
No.
I didn't know that at all.
Wow,
and
I
I know
forgot
them
that.
pretty well. I didn't.
It's like just a celebrity-infused band.
Yeah. I would
Pretty
not have
crazy.
put those two together.
I wonder what those like Thanksgivings are like with Quincy.
Golly, you know that he is just telling Ezra what he could have done better.
He's telling
on
all
every
those.
song.
He's telling all those like he's telling the same Eddie Van Halen story over and over.
Yeah. Did I tell you about the time I called Eddie Van Halen and he hung
He didn't
up on
believe
me?
it was me.
Yeah. Yes, you did, father-in-law. He insists on Ezra calling him father-in-law. Or Grammy award-winning legendary producer Quincy Jones. Every time.
Every time. Yeah.
Can you pass
every
the
time?
mashed potatoes? Can you finish that sentence, please?
But then I picture like them inviting Amy Poehler over for Thanksgiving too, and Ron Swanson,
Nick Offerman, Amy Poehler sitting in there. Maybe Steve Carell,
Steve Carell,
That'd be a
little
great
Jim and
Thanksgiving.
Pam.
Adam
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has become like my dream Thanksgiving. Let's
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah. You could have dinner with 3 people, and you're like, can I just take
just-
that room?
Yeah.
Ezra Koenig just sitting there just watching everyone, says the occasional odd thing. And
He name drops like some place he's going on vacation.
Exactly.
Hey, I was in the Maldives last weekend.
Yeah.
Dar es Salaam. But that song does have one of my favorite parts where he slowly says, into my 19th nervous breakdown. I don't know why. I've always thought that was just really funny and weird, and I feel like there's something behind that. Like
Yeah.
some reference to
Nice
something
reference.
And the fact that he's kind of so familiar, maybe even comfortable with it, that it happens.
Yeah.
That he knows this
it
is
was a
my
very
19th.
matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the through the fire and through the flames, just repeating. I think that's kind of cool. And I like songs that you can kind of take a couple different ways. I mean, I'm a finance math guy, so I like finite things. But so sometimes it's fun to hear something different. Where you're like, what does that mean? And
Yeah.
you could ask 5 people, and they would all say something different.
That's how I feel
kinda
about
cool.
Funky Cold Medina.
Yeah,
I feel like there's something else
Yeah.
at work there. You know, just kind of.
somebody.
I really want to study that. What is he really talking about? I'm sure we'll get to a Tone Loc episode.
Absolutely.
At some
Yeah,
point.
at least one.
Funky Cold Medina. Funky Cold Medina.
All right, so Matt, you are in the middle of just a blazing golf game.
Epic golf
Epic.
game.
Yeah, I don't know how they describe golf games. I'm out of my league here. And you see.
They call them golf matches.
Oh, do they?
Well, that's
Do they?
okay.
Yeah, or a round of golf.
Oh,
however
there
you
you
want to
go.
look at it.
Well, I always hear my golf game is strong. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why I'm thinking. But
yeah.
yeah.
No, that part's correct.
Okay, you're in the middle of a round of golf, and you look over to the parking lot and you see Ezra Koenig, and he's got just a can of gasoline, just holding it over your convertible Saab,
Ooh, yes.
and he's got a match in the other hand, and he yells at you, "Take a song off my album, or I'm gonna torch this Saab."
Is he Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
It's a very specific set of skills.
So what song would you take off?
This one was easy for me. I would take Hudson off. It's the next to last song on the album.
Hudson died, Hudson Bay, but I was born on Sutton Place. The rising tide helped me decide to change my name again. Some intend to linger on.
It's a bleak, dark, kind of very plotting
That's
song.
what my answer would be. Yeah.
And I think because the last song, Young Lion, we talked about it. Like the first 2 songs on the album are kind of these
It's a
bookmarks.
bookend, yeah.
They're bookends of the album. They're the palate cleansing,
Yeah.
nice little walk in, walk out. But Hudson, you remove Hudson, and I mean, I think the album again.
Yeah.
To me, it's always if the album holds up, and I think it more than holds up. I think it's actually probably a stronger full album without Hudson on the album.
Yeah, Hudson's just, it's like the denouement of the album, but it's just too slow. Young Lion, you can kind of see they kind of play you out, is what it feels
Yep.
like. And Hudson just seems kind of there.
Are you listening?
I haven't put together my best of 2010s list, which I know you're on pins and needles for. But I will say that from visiting this album with you guys and sitting with it, I've become, I would even say, a big fan. Where I'm really gonna, yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was great. So, Matt, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited I got to talk about the album and excited to listen to some more.
This has been fun. This is an album that I loved when it came out, and listened to it pretty much nonstop, but then haven't really gone back to it in a few years. And so as we're winding down the decade and we're seeing these best of lists, it's cool to go back and revisit some of these. So this has been fun. Thanks to everyone for listening to another episode and for the previous episodes. And you can always follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Finest Work Songs, and send us an email, finestworksongs@gmail.com. Always love to get your feedback and thoughts on future albums.
Yeah, thanks again, Matt. And until next time, like Bobby Brown, we hope you keep
Humping around.
We are the yesterdays, but we are here, and the radio is on.
Our theme song is by the incredible band Medium Heat. This track is called Radio, and you should check them out at mediumheat.bandcamp.com. And check out any upcoming shows if you are in the Raleigh area. They are on Facebook at Medium Heat Music.